I'll explain, guys. I'll explain why, first of all, this is a first for me. I've never given a shiur on Tu Bishvat, and I'll explain why I am. Nina, come in, get a seat. I don't mind. Okay. I have, and I think this really comes from my father, a real connection to planting and gardening. The way one of you would go out to buy a new sweater when you're in a bad mood, my father likes to buy a new tree or plant. Okay, and this is something I grew up with my whole life. A real consciousness to we are not the outdoorsy type, but a real consciousness to plants and especially trees. I really think trees are like almost a theme that I grew up with in my home. And I have a very strong personal connection because of those genetics to it myself. I have an obsession with pomegranates. Some of you have heard about that already. I have an obsession with watching things grow, every stage of the process. I can't walk through a park or garden without getting totally distracted. I know the names of almost every flower in a store. And about 3-4 days ago, I thought to myself, Tu Bishvat is around the corner. I never had a connection to Tu Bishvat. It's a very holy day. The proof is that it's considered to be a holiday. Like every month has its holiday except for Cheshvan. This is the holiday for Shvat. But yet for me, all it was this weird carob buxer that they would give out in Yavna Academy when I was younger. You know what I'm talking about? That dried out gross stuff. And like that's how I associated Tu Bishvat, or the dorky song Tu Bishvat Higia. It's not so dorky, but at least it was when I was younger. So I decided to put myself to the challenge for myself, and therefore I'm kind of letting you in today to what I'm working on for myself, appreciating Tu Bishvat in light of the appreciation for the nature and the outdoors that I have in my life. And I've worked very hard to merge the two and try to share it and present it with you today. I first want to give credit where credit's due to a bunch of different inspirations that sort of weave together the ideas of the shiur. Number one was a shiur by Rebbetzin Yemima Mizrahi, a very holy, special woman who gives shiurim here in Eretz Yisrael. A second is my husband, who was my sounding board for a lot of the ideas. And a lot of other ideas that come out today, make it sound like it's 9, today are going to be coming from different svarim and ideas. I hope I can merge it all together in the little bit of time we have together. Now, to even begin and to set us in the right mode, Koach HaBracha today is very big. And what I mean by that is, since it's Tu Bishvat, any bracha that you make on food today is different than any bracha you will make the rest of the year, and certainly even on Tu Bishvat in America. In Israel, Tu Bishvat takes on a whole nother meaning. So, to start, you'll see on the board here, thank you Alana, and thank you Donnie for making the sheets. You see on the board, can you see this? Baruch Atah Hashem. I just want to explain the beginning of every bracha to you, and then I'm going to make a bracha in front of you. Baruch, the source for it means to bless, but it also comes from the root of brecha. So already we're seeing, and this is something I mentioned to you yesterday, that to put the created with the creator, you have to create that attachment. So the first thing we do is we bring God into the moment. I'm hungry. I want pizza. I want an apple. I want to take a drink because I was on the treadmill. When I choose to make the word Baruch first, I am choosing to attach the creator to the created. Ata. Ata means you with a capital Y. As opposed to saying who, like in Hebrew, which is he, after I bring God into the world, he's no longer over there. He's right before me. It's an incredible personal moment to call God you. You know, my mom always taught me when I was younger, don't ever greet someone, hey you, because that's like disrespectful. Hey you may be for your best friend, but not for someone who you're supposed to respect unless you've brought him right in front of you. So Baruch brings the Rabboni Sholem to the moment. Ata, you, now you're right before me. You're no longer, anyone in my tefillah class, I just brought the 747 jet down from the sky, like Rav Pinkus says. Hashem, God. Okay? So in the moment that could be the most physical, I'm hungry, I need to fuel my body, I can have a very spiritual moment. At the end of a bracha, we say the word Amen. The gematria of Amen, and this is from Rebbetzin Yemima Mizrahi, is the same gematria as a malach, the word malach. Chazal say every time I make a bracha, a malach gets involved to say, Gidel, have a moment here, grow from this. When you say Amen to a bracha, you are almost finishing off the moment. A malach has been created. A moment spiritually has been created. So it's the combination of a person choosing to bring God into a very physical moment, combined with the observer or the listener's Amen moment. Closure, like a malach. It's almost like the way I think about it is the malach stays down here to protect you, and the Ribono Shel Olam goes away at that moment. Because again, you've closed off this blessing. So I'd like to begin my shiur with a bracha, and I'd like to, if you can all say Amen. This is one of the Sheva Minim. There's an idea of having one of each of the Sheva Minim today. I don't know how many of you had some of them yesterday. Some of them were out today at breakfast. But the Sheva Minim, before I make my bracha, the Sheva Minim, Chazal asks, why those 7? Pomelos, oranges, apples, strawberries are in season. Why those 7? The Chidah says those 7 require the most work to access the fruit. The most work. Let's take a look at them. A pomegranate. You see a girl with a bowl of pomegranate seeds and you're like, wow, because you know how long it took to extract those seeds from the fruit. You eat a cookie. I don't know if you're conscious of this because you're not farmers, but the amount of work it requires to take chita, one of the 7 minim, and get it to be a baked good is an incredible amount of time and effort. Picking, threshing, drying, winnowing, grinding, and finally you have flour, and processing that flour into something you can eat. Let's take another one. One that you'd say to me, no, this one doesn't require effort. A fig. I don't know if you know this, but I do because my father has a fig tree. A fig tree. It produces figs. It's not like any other fruit, by the way. It's the only fruit like this in all of the fruits in the kingdom of fruits, so to speak, in all of the tree-bearing fruits. The fig is the only fruit that doesn't turn ripe together. What do I mean by that? If it is the harvest season for grapes, you have to take them all in within about a week's span. If it's the harvest season for oranges or apples, there's apple picking time. If it's the harvest season for blueberries, you take them all off the tree. The fig is the only fruit, and it's one of our Sheva Minim, that only a few ripen a day, which means to harvest figs, and by the way, the season of figs is over 3 months. That means you have to be patient. You have to go out every day to pick them. That's why they're considered to be rare, unique, fragile. Okay, I don't know if you've ever seen raw, fresh figs, but they are incredibly fragile because they have to ripen on the tree and they can only be taken in piece by piece over a 3-month period. Says the Chidah, the Sheva Minim, all 7 of them, require an incredible amount of effort to access them. And that is the Jew, and that is Eretz Yisrael. It's all about the avodah. It's about putting work into something. It's about sweating a little. Appreciating Israel, sometimes it's hard. You have to work at it. You have to break through a peel, if you will. Sometimes, in order to become an impressive Eved Hashem, you have to also sweat. So says the Chidah, the Sheva Minim are not just stam fruits. They are fruits that require something of the eater, because everything in our system is trying to train us to live on a higher plane. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Borei Minei Mizonot.
Amen.
Okay, that was awkward. All right. I didn't think about the chewing and swallowing and the fact that everyone would be watching me. Okay. Next. You know, Tchiyat HaMeitim. It's probably the hardest thing to get. And the Rambam says if you don't believe in the resurrection of the dead, you can't believe in God. It literally goes hand in hand with belief in God. Seems quite hard to understand a way that we could ever understand or believe it. And even if we believe it, it probably takes a lot out of us to really get there. I want to now teach you a magnificent idea in Rav Dessler. And I'll tell you the truth, if you've heard it before, it doesn't even matter. Because I want to hear it in the context of a Tu Bishvat Shiur. Rav Dessler says like this. Take a look on your sheets. Mahu ha'hafresh bein nes l'teva. What really is the difference between miracle and nature? Harei shnehem al yedei HaKadosh Baruch Hu heim. We know that miracle, like the splitting of the seas, and nature, like the sun coming up this morning, they are both really from God. So why do we have the two different terminologies? Al she'ela zu gam harbe me'achenu hamaminim yalagu lanu. Ba'amram, bivadai hakol mimenu yitbarach. Ach hateva, hu asher natan Hashem yitbarach chok b'bariah shetitnahei b'hanaga mugbelet b'derech sibahu misovev. Says the scientist like this. Oh, nature, that's like causation. At this point, nature is a cycle of life that will continue. It's like the Energizer Bunny. God winded it up at the beginning of time, and it will keep structuring itself and moving on from generation till generation for eternity. That's nature. That's how nature works. What's a miracle? A miracle is when you break the laws of nature. That's what a miracle is. Wow, it's miraculous. The sea is normally rushing and gushing, and all of a sudden it splits. That's a miracle. Rav Dessler says we have it wrong. Take a look at the second paragraph. But kishenedayek yoter v'nitamek. When we start to look a little deeper, ta'amod ha'sheila lefanenu, hein al kol panim lo neda ha'mahalek. Lama hasiba ha'mesavevet ha'mesovev v'rak neda shakachu tadir. Ha'im ze be'emet nes tadiri, ela shehur galur banu. Okay. Rav Dessler says the following. There's no difference between the splitting of the sea and the fact that the sun rose this morning. There's just one thing that separates the two. They're both miraculous. The sea splitting, miracle. The sun rising, miracle. So what's the difference between the two? One we see every day. Been there, done that, and therefore we call it nature. One we've barely, if ever, been privileged to see. Maybe our great-grandfathers saw the splitting of the sea. And therefore, since we've never seen it happen, or it doesn't happen on a daily basis, we call it a miracle. Rav Dessler says, really, they're both miracles. It's just that one is tadir, which means occurs frequently, and one rarely, if ever, occurs. Interesting. Nature's a miracle. It's just that it's frequent. See, that alone would be interesting, but I don't know if it would grab your hearts. I don't know if it would make you believe in Tchiyat HaMeitim. So Rav Dessler says another thing. V'nitzayer nalanu. Let's now go through it. He's going to use the model of the resurrection of the dead. So anyone in this room who feels that they cannot understand what it means, that the dead will walk again, Rav Dessler is going to make it very simple for all of us. I'm on the third line of the second paragraph, at the end. Ilu ra'inu kever asher hamet shenikvar bo, kfar ne'achal kol b'saro v'yihi la'afar. I'm sorry for the graphic imagery. Think of a body that is already decomposed in the dirt, and all it is now is dust and bones. V'hinei la'at la'at me'omek ha'kever. And slowly, from the depths of that kever, Matchil litzmoach guf adam va'oled derech hakarka. a person starts to grow off of that body, that dead body, and he arises from the dirt. V'hakever niftach, and the kever opens up. V'yotzei ve'oleh adam chai k'chol hachayim, and the person rises from the dead, living fully. Ma hayinu omrim lazeh. What would we say if we saw that? Ha'im im ze nes gadol shel tchiyat hametim. That is the miracle that we're waiting for in the time of Mashiach, of resurrection of the dead. V'im kain, lama lo nafchin nes ze b'tfuah. Says Rav Dessler, you think you don't get tchiyas hametim? You see it every second of every day. I actually brought a demonstration today for you to get this. This is a dead, dried out onion bowl. It is dead. It is dead as dead can be. You would never add this to a salad. This is the one you leave behind in the supermarket. It is brown. It is ugly. And if I left it here longer, it would get more dead and more dried out. See, it's crazy to think, but nature, and I put it in quotes, tells us that if I put this in dirt and I leave it there and I slowly water it, what will happen over time? It will decompose. It will grow moldy, mushy, and disgusting. It'll look like something you left in your lunch bag too long in high school. After that, it will slowly take in the ground. If it has the proper nutrients of water and sun, slowly what will come out of this dead, disgusting onion is something amazing. Techiyat hametim, resurrection of the dead. It's called a plant. This is my daughter's project this week in school, and I'm going to pass this around. It came from this. You will see on the bottom the roots. Look at those roots. We'll refer to it. You will see at the top that it's totally a plant. This is from an onion bulb that was dead. Says Rav Dessler, you don't believe in Tchiyat HaMetim? You really don't believe in Tchiyat HaMetim? You don't understand how the dead can walk again? You watch the dead walk every day of your life. Every one of you has a tree outside of your house. It's dead right now in the winter, most of them. It's just sticks. And every spring, it comes back. You even hear people say, oh, the trees are coming back. It's called Techiyat HaMetim, says Rav Dessler. Why don't we say then every time Techiyat HaMetim? Because we're way too used to it. We see it all the time. Oh, I'm sorry, it's in my bio book. So I label it as nature. You want to pass it around? Okay. At the end, I'll take it back. Okay. So now we've learned something very special already. I'm going to start to build. The first thing we learned is what a bracha does. The second thing we learned is that Rav Dessler says that if you look at nature very carefully, it's miraculous. And you start to appreciate nature more when you realize that it's literally teaching you how to believe in greater concepts. If I can understand how an onion can turn into a plant, a dead onion, then I can start believing in very lofty concepts. I literally have nature, the miracle of nature, to teach me. It's funny, even yesterday I was talking about how Niagara Falls froze over. And I told you to look at that picture to try to understand what it means to have the splitting of a sea. You can look at nature and it can teach you how to believe in things that are way more high, way more lofty, way more complex. Let's go a step further. Another moment, and I have another prop for this one. About a year ago, around this time of Tu Bishvat, it was Shabbos, and I was thinking about the time of year and the nature, like I said, and I opened a Mishpacha magazine. And every week in the Mishpacha magazine is a one-page Dvar Torah by a different writer. And that week the writer was sharing the Shem Mishmuel, which is a Hasidic Rav, his ideas on Tu Bishvat. And he started with a very famous pasuk, one that actually Hudi mentioned in her shiur as well. Ki ha'adam eitz hasadeh. It says in Parshat Devarim, Perek Chaf, Pasuk Yutet, Ki ha'adam eitz hasadeh. Now first let me give you the context, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of the Chasidus. The context is that if you're in a time of war, and kal v'chomer if you're not in a time of war, and a person is at war, they need raw materials. And they want to sort of like bulldoze everything in their way. Because at war, you're like an animal. The Torah says, whatever you do, do not destroy a fruit-bearing tree. You can't destroy a fruit-bearing tree. Now, how serious is this halacha? My friend wanted to cut down a fruit-bearing tree. She called her Rav. He said it was Asur min HaTorah. She had to have it uprooted from the bottom and replanted. Her friend wanted it in her yard. You are not allowed halakhically to cut down a fruit-bearing tree. The question is why? Why can't I cut it down? It's like inconvenient in my yard. Says the Sefer Achinuch, who gives us Tamei HaMitzvot, because it's Bal Tashlis. What's Bal Tashlis? Does anyone know what Bal Tashlis is?
Wasting.
Say letter.
Wasting.
Wasting. See, when we were younger, and we took too much food on our plate, and your mom threw half of it out, she'd say to you, don't take more food than you're going to eat, you're wasting. Bal Tashlis is a very serious issue. There are people starving in Africa, that's the classic line. And therefore, we're supposed to appreciate what we have, and you're never allowed to just ruin things. So if you have like something you like, and you don't need it anymore, you're not allowed to just burn it or rip it up. You should donate it. So a fruit-bearing tree offers a future and sort of sustenance to mankind for many generations. And therefore, to cut down a fruit-bearing tree is a form of hashchata. It's wasting. It's destroying something that could be very productive. So the Torah says, don't cut down a fruit-bearing tree. Now it's interesting, because all of the Meforshim and the Midrashim say, you should know, you think we're just talking about trees? No. Ki ha'adam eitz hasadeh. A fruit-bearing tree is likened to a person. See, think about it. Look at me for a second. We have a trunk. We too are trees. We gain sustenance like a tree. We get it into our roots. We have fuel or gasoline. And the hope is that when we are given nutrients, we will produce fruit. Children are fruit, according to Chazal. Actions are fruit. In fact, I just learned it in my chavrusa with 2 students in Eishes Chayil. Tenula mi pri yadeha. It says in Eishes Chayil that the righteous woman, she gives from the fruits of her hands. It's not that she's cutting apples for everyone. The labors of this world with your hands. Hands represent the branches. Hands represent the activities of this world. And Eishes Chayil is constantly giving out the fruits of her labor. Ma'asim tovim, good actions. What will be born from things. So it's not just kids. Oh, okay, that doesn't relate to me. I'm not married yet. I'm not that old yet. Doesn't matter. A person is constantly working on fruit, trying to sustain fruit. If you saw in this plant, and this is something I hope you saw, there are white roots running through this whole area. Those roots are your roots. The nutrients are your nutrients. Your parents, your grandparents, your experiences. What is the rain? Chazal say, and this is from the Shemi Shmuel, that rain is inspiration. Just like rain comes down to sustain the nature of this world, and sometimes rain falls in the wrong place and we can't use it. Or sometimes we get flooded by rain and it's dangerous for us. Inspiration comes to us the same way from the Ribono Shel Olam. We're gifted with it like rain. And we have to pray for rain. Because rain could fall at the wrong time. It's like an inspirational moment and I was in the bathroom. Or rain can fall too hard. It's like coming in too intense at me and I get almost anxiety from it and I can't even focus on it. So just like rain has to come at the right time and the right place and at the right moment. And on Rosh Hashanah, it's decided how much rain. But how that rain will fall is decided based off of us and how we're behaving. Says the Shem Mishmuel, the same is true about the individual. Rain is inspiration. It is moments of clarity. It is direction. We feed our roots from our past. Our shorashim, our trunk gets fortified. And then we wait for rain from above, inspiration. Ki ha'adam eitz hasadeh. We are built like a tree. We are fruit-bearing like a tree. Says Chazal, don't destroy that fruit tree, because it's like committing murder. It's like killing another person, because a fruit-bearing tree is like a human. So be very wary, says Chazal. Now it's time for the story. I'm reading about the Shem Mishmuel. Man is like a tree. A tree feeds off spirituality, just like a person. I'm totally inspired. I'm in Torah Traga that Shabbos. My husband had an in Shabbos. We were, it was our turn to come. Everyone was inside shul davening, and I'm pushing my baby outside in a stroller. And I find those times frustrating, because I read something inspirational that spoke to me. I told you I'm obsessed with gardening and trees, and I'm pushing my baby outside. And then I had my moment of inspiration. Let's hope that my husband did his job. Oh yeah, he did. Okay, hold on. Sorry, just finding it. Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm walking, pushing my baby, and I'm reading the Shem Mishmuel again, this idea, Ki ha'adam eitz hasadeh. And the Shem Mishmuel says one more thing. You want to know something, he says? If you're really in touch with nature, and I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm really in touch with it. He's like, you'll know how you're doing religiously and spiritually. There's like a test you can do. I'm like, cool. See, this is something I always thirst for in life. Now this is sort of personal time. See, I used to be on the basketball team in my high school. And when I'd have a good game, the coach would take her hand and slap it on my back really hard. And she'd say, Leba, good game. I'm like, yeah. See, even if I thought I didn't have a good game, when she slaps me on the back and tells me it was a good game, oh, it's a good game. And I walk out like, I'm awesome. I'm the next Michael Jordan, okay? Now the truth is, Michael Jordan's in a geriatric center, but he was famous in my day. Okay, so I'm letting you in on a little personal time with me. One of my hardest things in Judaism, it's like interview. Rabbi Rosner says, what's your favorite mitzvah? What's your hardest mitzvah? So I'll tell you what, not mitzvah, but one of my hardest things is, I never know how I'm doing. I'm being so honest here. It almost makes me emotional to think about it. You're always working on yourself and you're always trying, but you don't know. Am I working too little? Am I trying too hard? Am I doing what I'm supposed to with my life? Am I not? Am I a good parent religiously? Am I a good teacher? Am I a good friend? Am I a good daughter? Am I a good mother? I could go on forever on the question marks. And there's a piece of me that always struggles with this, because there'll never be a big slap on the back, hey Leba, you had a good game. You don't get that in Yiddishkeit. Because of the need for faith and emunah and bitachon, the Ribono Shel Olam is not physically in our world to slap us on the back on a good day. And therefore, we're forced to find signs amongst us, to try to see a message by things that go on. Maybe I'll give you an example before I give you the one I want to give you from the Shem Mishmuel. I'll actually give you one that happened yesterday with all of you, and you don't even know. See, yesterday, we were supposed to have some visitors who were applying to Tiferet for next year. Rabbi Sherman couldn't come. So Rabbi Meir called me 2 days ago, and he said, Mrs. Schneider, can you substitute for Rabbi Sherman tomorrow?